Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel HGK Online Education. In this video, we will discuss about fourth part of Environmental Engineering Quick Revisions lectures, which will include treatment of water. These videos will be helpful for your various competitive exams related to the civil engineering. So let's start. Here we will discuss about various treatment processes involved in the treatment of water. So first process is screening. Screening is done to remove the heavier suspended impurities such as plant, trees, stones, dead animals, etc. There are two types of screens. First one is fine screen and second one is coarse screen. Fine screen is in the form of wire mesh of opening size 10 mm. Generally, we avoided fine screens as it gets frequently clogged and it required frequent cleaning. So due to this, fine screen increases the cost of treatment, so we avoid fine screen. Second type is coarse screen. Coarse screen is in the form of bars. Diameter of these bars are 25 mm and a spacing provided between bars is 20 to 100 mm. Coarse screens are placed at an inclination of 3 to 6 vertical and 1 horizontal or 45 degree to 60 degree. So here inclination angle is very important. So here this inclination angle is 45 degree to 60 degree. This inclination help in increasing the efficiency of removal over a screen by reducing the velocity of flow and giving more opportunity to suspended solid to retain over screen. Inclination also help in better cleaning. So remember the inclination angle for the coarse screen. Now next process of treatment of water is aeration. Aeration is done to add oxygen in the water. It is done to remove dissolved gases like carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide. It is done to oxidize the organic matter. Aeration remove the volatile liquid like phenol. Aeration can remove the dissolved minerals like Fe2 plus, Mn2 plus, and aeration is also used for remove the taste and water. So aeration can be done by any of these following four methods. First method of aeration is spray nozzle method. So in spray nozzle method, hydrogen sulfide removal efficiency is 99% and carbon dioxide removal efficiency is 90%. So this percentage is very important. Second method is cascade aerator. In cascade aerator, H2S removal efficiency is 35% and carbon dioxide removal efficiency is 20 to 45%. Third method of aeration is tray tower method. So this tray tower method is generally used when iron and manganese is present in the water. And last method is diffused air method. So here after the process of aeration, there is increase in the acidity and turbidity. So note this important point. Next process in the treatment of water is sedimentation. So sedimentation is based on Stokes law. According to this Stokes law, when a spherical particles move downward independently in a infinitely large medium, then after a certain time it achieves a constant velocity, which is termed as terminal velocity of the particle or settling velocity of the particle or surface overflow rate. So this terminal velocity of particle is given by Vs is equal to G minus capital G minus 1 into small d into d square divided by 18 nu, where G is the specific gravity, small g is the acceleration due to gravity, here d is the diameter of the particle, and nu is the kinematic viscosity of fluid. Okay, so here remember that nu is equal to mu divided by rho w, or we can say that rho w is equal to nu into mu, where rho w is the density of water. Okay, and mu is the dynamic viscosity. So we will get formula Vs is equal to capital G minus 1 into small g into d square divided by 18 into mu divided by rho w. So it will become capital G minus 1 into gamma w into d square divided by 18 mu, because here gamma w is equal to g into rho w. Gamma w is the unit weight of water. Okay, so here also remember that specific gravity is equal to what? Unit weight of solid divided by unit weight of water. So G is equal to gamma S divided by gamma W. So here value of G into gamma W become what? G into gamma W, it is equal to gamma S. So we will get Vs is equal to gamma S minus gamma W into d square divided by 18 mu. So this formula is applicable when diameter of particle is less than 0.1 mm. So remember this one, 0.1 mm. Next formula is, and here also one thing note that condition is applicable when d is less than 0.1 mm and laminar flow condition. Laminar flow condition. Next one is, if d is less than 0.1 mm, then Vs is equal to 418 capital G minus 1 into Gd square into 3 into capital T plus 70 divided by 100, where T is the temperature. So here Vs is directly proportional to the d square, that is square of particle diameter. Third formula is d is equal to 0.1 to 1 mm. In that case Vs is equal to 418 into capital G minus 1 into Gd into 3t plus 70 divided by 100. So in this case Vs, that is settling velocity, is directly proportional to the diameter of particle. So in the case of d is less than 0.1 mm, settling velocity is directly proportional to the square of the diameter of particle, and in the case of d is equal to 0.1 to 1 mm, settling velocity is directly proportional to the d. So these are the very important for the exam point of view. Next formula is, when d is greater than 1 mm, then Vs is equal to 1.8 into square root of small g into d into capital G minus 1. So here we can say that Vs is directly proportional to the square root of d in the case of d is greater than 1 mm. So here remember these important points. When d is less than 0.1 mm, Vs is directly proportional to the d square. If d is equal to 0.1 to 1 mm, Vs is directly proportional to d, and if d is greater than 1 mm, Vs is directly proportional to the square root of d. So here d is the diameter of particle, Vs is the settling velocity, then small g is the acceleration due to gravity, capital G is the specific gravity. Okay, now next one. So in the case of Stokes law, particle size ranges from 0.2 mm to 0.0002 mm. Remember this range. If particle size greater than 0.2 mm, then turbulence occurs, and if particle size less than 0.0002 mm, then Brownian motion occurs. So these are very important points. Here note some points. If surface area increases, efficiency will also increases. The particle of size smaller than the design particle are partially removed, and partial removal efficiency or efficiency of the sedimentation tank is given by, so efficiency in percentage, it is equal to velocity of the incoming particles divided by standard surface velocity or surface flow rate multiplied by 100. Okay, so we will discuss about types of sedimentation tank. There are two types of sedimentation tank. First one is fixed type tank, or it is also called as fill and draw type tank or quiescent tank, and second type is continuous flow type tank. So in the case of fixed type tank, detention time is equal to 24 hours, cleaning time is 8 to 12 hours. At a time, minimum 3 number of tanks are required, and remember one thing, that out of these 3 minimum tanks, 2 will be operational and 1 will be standby. So these all points are very important in the case of fixed type tank, which is also called as fill and draw type tank or quiescent tank. Now second type of sedimentation tank is continuous flow type tank. It is also divided into two types, horizontal flow type tank and vertical flow type tank. So firstly we will see horizontal flow type tank. Assumptions made in the designing of this tank is, first one is particle is removed when it reaches the bottom of the settling zone or top of the sludge zone, and second assumption is the concentration of suspended particle of each size will be same at the all point of vertical cross section and inlet end. Design data related to this horizontal flow type tank is surface overflow rate. So for plain sedimentation, surface overflow rate is equal to 15,000 to 30,000 liter per meter square per day, and in the case of coagulation aided sedimentation, surface overflow rate is equal to 30,000 to 40,000 liter per meter square per day. Unit is also very important and range is also important in the case of horizontal flow type tank. Okay, second one is the detention time. For plain sedimentation, detention time is 3 to 4 hours. For coagulation aided sedimentation, detention time is 2 to 2.5 hours. Next one is flow velocity. In general, flow velocity is 0.3 meter per minute, but range of flow velocity is 0.15 to 0.90 meter per minute. So remember general flow velocity. Next one is the width of tank, and it is equal to 10 to 12 meter. Length to width ratio is 4:1. Depth of the tank is 3 meter. Next important point is, if cleaning of sludge is done manually, then additional volume for accumulation of sludge is provided by adding 0.8 to 1.2 meter over the design depth. So remember this important point. Next one is vertical flow type tank. So volume of the vertical flow type tank is V is equal to capital D square into 0.785 H plus 0.011 D. Okay, this is the volume of the tank, where H is the height and D is the depth. Here one thing note, some points note. As we know, the settling velocity does not depend on the depth of the tank but depends upon the surface area of the tank. Therefore, the sedimentation basin should be made as shallow as depth. Important point. Next point is horizontal trays are to be placed in the tank to divide the tank height into the compartment and to provide multiple surface area. These devices are called as tube settler and detention time is less than 10 minutes. So these 2 points are very important in the case of tank. Next one is short circuiting in the tank. So degree of short circuiting is determined by displacement efficiency and it is given by, so displacement efficiency eta d is equal to flow through period divided by theoretical detention time multiplied by 100. So in general this displacement efficiency should be greater than 30%. This is very important point. Next type of sedimentation is coagulation aided sedimentation. So we discussed this sedimentation in the next video. If this video is helpful for you, then like and share the video and don't forget the subscribe to my YouTube channel HGK Online Education. So thanks for watching.